was following basically like a bodybuilding style where you're supposed to eat every 2 to 3 hours,
Ah,
basically because
yeah.
they they say that your muscle will start to waste and go away if you're not eating protein constantly throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I was eating maybe 6 to 10 times a day.
Ah,
Um,
beautiful, beautiful.
yeah, it was basically, I mean, I never competed as a bodybuilder, but
Yeah.
I lived that lifestyle. So, I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. If I wanted to go to a movie, I would eat basically right before it, halfway between the movie, I would take out a protein bar, eat that, and then I would go home and then eat. So,
Oh, the
yeah, it
reason
was
that we both are laughing about it is we know that there needs to be this long phase of
mhm,
rest for our gut. And
absolutely,
whilst this is the time when the gut cleanses itself. And
exactly.
nowadays, one of the things that we know, the rising rate of colon cancer, is very much linked to those 5, 6, you know, okay, let's call it a traditional 3 or 4 meal a day and then about 6 snacks in between day. Let's call it like
Uh-huh.
that. And
Yeah,
that is the problem. We don't give our body a chance to cleanse. And that's one
exactly.
part of the circadian
Yes.
rhythm that you experienced. Wow.
Hmm.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up.
Hi guys. Welcome back to Neff Inspiration, a show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan Neff. Today I've got another fantastic day because I've got Jason Young with me. Jason, like me, has been a nerd when it comes to biotransformation, to transform our bodies in the best possible way. And he started off as a physical trainer and specialized in the high end kind of how to get the best out of our bodies when it comes to elite athletes, when it comes to really younger people. But he then very soon said, well, there's more to life. So he looked out to, well, all the epidemic of obesity that we're seeing now, and he thought fit mums. Oh, that is a far better way to go. Let's actually expand things further out. And with his expansion, he also became more curious. And he thought, well, there's so much energy floating around out there inside of us, how our body deals with it at various parts or areas, times of the day, shall I say. And he went out there and explored that and took a deep dive. And today, he is a master of circadian rhythms. And for that, I can't wait to deep dive with him. So, Jason, welcome to my show.
Thank you very much for having me, Stefan. I
It's an
appreciate
absolute
being here.
an
Yes.
absolute pleasure. And it's so interesting because that is not something that many people understand. They've got a vague idea because they know they feel a bit weird when they do jet lag, or they feel a bit weird after shift work, or maybe even the summer and winter time is enough to throw some people out a bit. So obviously
Very
there
much.
are certain rhythms there in nature that if we go against them, then your body tells you, oi. But that's typically as far as it goes. How did it
Hmm.
come that you became interested in circadian rhythms?
Well, I started getting sick for the second time in my life. So the first time was in my mid 20s. I got depression, anxiety, and thoughts of suicide pretty much weekly.
Uh,
Um, but that was college and whatnot. And then I thought I fixed myself via my diet and via my workout regime.
mm,
Because that's what I pretty much told everybody. In order to be healthy,
mm,
that's what you need. Just change your diet, start exercising more,
yep.
all that good stuff. Um, but then 2007 is when I opened my gym, my boot camp program, my interval group training program, and I followed that lifestyle. Waking up, had a 5:15 a.m. boot camp, so I was waking up at 4:30 a.m. Um, sometimes
Right.
three times a week at least, and eventually it was 5 times a week. Um, but yeah, that I started getting hormonal issues, energy issues, cortisol issues.
Yeah.
I probably started noticing it um, probably 2015, 2016, and then it just kept getting worse and worse until I finally said, "This isn't working. I don't feel good. I need to find something. So 2018, Dr. Jack Cruz, who is like, I consider him like the master of circadian rhythm. He's the one that teaches all his what he calls mitochondriacs how to engage with the sun and disconnect from technology and all that stuff. It was actually the second time that I found him. I found him in 2013, read his book, but I simply wasn't ready for his message because I still had the fitness programs, the nutrition programs, and the supplements to sell people. So I wasn't ready because I felt what I felt fine. Just didn't know what was coming. So I took his advice. His Nourish Vermont talks from 2016, 2017, I consider those the two greatest health talks ever. If people want to check those out. But I probably watched both of them like 7 or 8 times before I actually did anything because my mindset was it was just like a giant kick in the balls to what I knew and what my paradigm was and all that stuff. But once I did it and I actually started wrong, doing it most of the stuff wrong, but I felt remarkably better. So yeah, that's
Oh, I
and then I
love it. I love it.
keep diving ever since.
Oh, but Jason, here you were, young, good looking, full of testosterone. And your messages were not bullshit. They were very correct because you had dived into the science of being well, and nutrition and physical exercise are a huge component of that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You just completely neglected that there is also, and the opposite to that, the
yeah,
rest, rejuvenation, and actually listening to your body. Because what might work for one, the 4:30 get up, and they might actually be okay. These morning larks, they're called, and these are people where naturally their circadian rhythm in the morning actually switches on quite early. But
mhm,
then there are many of us who are night owls. Naturally, their rhythms are a little bit shifted, and then they're the in-betweeners. So
mhm,
that's just sort of as a rough kind of thing. So
yeah,
who knows who you were? By nowadays, just from these rough categories, you probably know far better how your body ticks. But the rest and rejuvenation is such a key to it. And if we go
yes,
against it, that's where we really do damage. And I hear that
Ex-
again and again and again from
yep,
physical
yep, yep.
trainers in that field who have been pushing themselves hard. Look at me, perfect nutrition, perfect macros, perfect, even micros, they think.
Mhm,
And
yeah,
body fat of 1.8%, 2%. Look at that. Hey,
uh,
how healthy am I? Yeah, my ass.
yeah, exactly.
Were- You were clearly in that category, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Yeah, yeah,
What was
following
your
the
lowest?
lifestyle.
I mean, you were very much you were a coach for weightlifters. You were a coach for muscle building in that
Uh,
sense, is it not?
I
Or
was
was it?
more. It was more general public.
Hmm,
Weight loss. It
right.
was mostly men. Yeah, eventually I moved into kids strength and conditioning, but
Nice,
the
nice.
majority of my business was women trying to lose weight. That's it.
Beautiful. Okay.
General.
And for that, a big call out to all those beautiful physical trainers out there who are trying to do their best with what they know, with what they can do to actually make this world a better place. The
Yeah.
problem is that so many people are they only their only tools are a hammer, and then everything has to be a nail.
Right.
And that is something that has changed with you. That is something that's changed with me. And we are
Hmm.
much, much, much broader in our approach to health.
Yeah.
And often our results are very different and far more holistic. Whilst this might be a cliche, I certainly, so far, I haven't yet found a better way to describe it. How do you
Uh,
describe your approach?
Um. Well, I typically say I'm a circadian rhythm coach. So I
Beautiful.
will help you look better naked. That was my big tagline, but I would always say I would help you look better naked. You just change your diet, you just change your
Yeah.
fitness, but um,
Yeah.
it's actually the circadian rhythm that determine the circadian rhythm and the mitochondria in us, which also has a circadian rhythm in us. It that is what determines whether we burn fat or not. And
Beautiful.
if that mechanism basically gets stuck, then
Mm.
That's when inflammation occurs, and that's when usually weight gain occurs and
Mm.
energy loss and all the
Mm.
stuff just
Yeah.
falls from there. So
I'm deeply in love with my mitochondria. The vast majority of our listeners will think, what the hell is he talking about? Jason, how do you explain mitochondria to your people?
well, most people, I don't know how it is over there, but most people in the States here, we learned about mitochondria in like elementary school or junior high,
Yes.
and we're just taught that it's the powerhouse of the cell.
Hmm.
But that's pretty much where they stop.
Correct.
Uh, so you want to think of your mitochondria as basically like your engine, and food is basically like the fuel that you put in the car.
Mhm.
So whether you're putting premium organic food in or you're using processed food, it doesn't really matter if the engine is broken or
Mhm.
it's starting to flutter out. So um, that's what you really want to focus on. And the mitochondria is basically it's light, water, magnetism. That's the three-legged stool of nature. They all work together, but basically a stool, if you have three legs and you take one leg out, the
Mhm.
stool is going to fall. And if
Yeah.
you're sitting on it, you're going to fall too. So, um, yeah, so light is the most important thing in terms of circadian rhythm. Um, but a lot of people they'll always talk about sunlight, sunlight, sunlight. But on the other end, everybody knows the sun goes up and the sun goes down, um, pretty much every day, depending on where you are. Um, so darkness is just as important as the
Mhm.
sun because certain things
Absolutely.
are happening in our bodies when the light is out and the light is touching you,
Absolutely.
and certain things are happening when it's dark, when we're supposed to be asleep and things are supposed to be repairing, things are slowed down, and um, that's one reason why it's so damaging to eat late at night,
Mm.
because digestion is one of the a lot of processes get shut down completely, and most of them will be shut down dramatically if there is digestion and food in the body. So really do its job. So
It's a fantastic analogy. I had last week, I had a late night pick out on some dates and some walnuts,
uh,
and I really stuffed my face. I went way beyond normal, and it was close to midnight. And my sleep scores are normally high 80s, certainly in the mid 80s. And that night was
uh,
50.
uh,
So my body very quickly told me the next day. I didn't actually feel that to my surprise. I felt okay, yeah, it was fine. Yeah, I had a bit of a slip up there, so what? So I gave myself the radical self-compassion. But at the same token, my body didn't lie. So you can see those things immediately when you start actually paying attention to
yes,
what your body tells you. And that's
correct,
what so many of us don't do, isn't it? We live our
right.
life completely non-intentional. We are just
Hmm.
getting pushed around by external forces that we consider important, such as the likes on your Instagram or the emails that are coming in, etc. Whilst
Yeah.
you have taken a step back because you have burned out. Essentially, I use the word burnout. You might have
Mhm.
looked at it differently, but ultimately, you've
No,
burned the candle on both
that's what it
ends.
was.
Exactly. And the ultimate result was the same, a complete breakdown of our metabolism on the inside. Our mitochondria were shot to shit. They thought, okay, fuck it, enough is enough now. This guy
Right.
doesn't hear the subtle messages. Now we serve him the 2x4 over the forehead. And and sometimes we need that. Sometimes we
Yes,
need that. So
wake up call.
it's interesting that you say the first time around when you were studying that you felt depression, anxiety, and
Hmm.
indeed suicidal ideation.
Hmm.
And I'm so grateful that you're open about that because so many people still hide that. And
Yeah.
that is such a bullshit because the chance of you having a depressive episode, major depressive episode in your lifetime is 1 in 3. So
Mm.
we must talk about it. Suicidal
Yeah.
ideation, at least 1 in 20 in the last year. 1 in 20
Yeah.
people in the United States. And that's I'm sure there is a higher figure in reality. That is just
Hmm.
sort of the data that we've got. So
Yeah.
our mental health is on the fritz. Our mental health is not well looked after, and we are the
Mhm.
culprits there. When you say you did nutrition, when you did sport, how did you look after your mental health? at that time during the studies? Was there some component
Um,
there that you learned as part of your upbringing?
that was when in terms of my mental health, that was when I restarted um, reading.
Mm.
So that was something that during when I was depressed and anxious, I basically stopped reading. So I
Oh.
graduated college and I said, I'm never touching and reading a book again.
Yeah, so much
So
for that.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so I started, I got a library card again, went to the library, I picked out two books that really started me on the path. So I picked out Rhonda Byrne's The Secret and Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I just kept listening to those over and over again until I
Yeah,
had to return them. And then I
nice,
just got the next set. And then,
nice.
yeah, so, um, and then I
So
just,
yeah, beautiful. Look at what you did. You took action. You were no longer the victim. You went into the
yeah,
library. You then provided yourself with some rest because you
mhm,
sitting down and reading that book, you were no longer going 10,000 miles an hour in your thoughts, but you were actually focusing on the messages that were delivered to you. Plus, you gave your body the rest during the day. You
mhm,
you you allowed yourself to catch up. How wonderful is that?
it's
When you
awesome.
look at your nutrition at that time, with hindsight, can you see that maybe there was hammering of your gut microbiome, that there was maybe the nutrition was maybe not so great? I mean, I certainly, when I look back at my university
Yeah.
times, during the daytime, I studied nutrition and as part of being a doctor. And then what I ate was, well, in the morning was probably quite healthy because you sort of switched on.
Mhm.
Then later on, there was canteen food in the Mensa, and then in the evening, oh God, I went maybe for a burger or something like that.
Yeah.
Not exactly supportive of a mental health.
No.
What about you?
Um, yeah, I mean, it was when I look back at it, I mean, I have my own podcast and I've looked back on my food log and basically ripped it to shreds
Oh,
because
excellent.
it was bad. Yeah, I was following basically like a bodybuilding style where you're supposed to eat every 2 to 3 hours
Ah,
basically because
yeah.
they they say that your muscle will start to waste and go away if you're not eating protein constantly throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I was eating maybe 6 to 10 times a day.
Ah,
Um,
beautiful, beautiful.
yeah, it was basically, I mean, I never competed as a bodybuilder, but
Yeah.
I lived that lifestyle. So, I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. If I wanted to go to a movie, I would eat basically right before it, halfway between the movie, I would take out a protein bar, eat that, and then I would go home and then eat. So,
Oh, the
yeah, it
reason
was,
that we both are laughing about it is we know that there needs to be this long phase of
mhm,
rest for our gut. And
absolutely,
whilst this is the time when the gut cleanses itself. And
exactly.
nowadays, one of the things that we know, the rising rate of colon cancer, is very much linked to those 5, 6, you know, okay, let's call it a traditional 3 or 4 meal a day and then about 6 snacks in between day. Let's call it like
Uh-huh.
that. And
Yeah,
that is the problem. We don't give our body a chance to cleanse. And that's one
exactly.
part of the circadian
Yes.
rhythm that you experienced. Wow.
Hmm.
What a beautiful insight. Okay.
Yeah.
So circadian rhythm, there is so much. I mean, where do you want to start for crying out loud? First of all, are we all having the same circadian rhythm?
Um, n no, because there's many factors that can change it. So where you are on the globe, your latitude,
Mm,
how high you are or how low you are,
mm,
um, and basically what your environments are.
mm,
So I talk about environments like um, if you put your phone in your back pocket, that's an environment. If you put it on your head,
mm,
that's another environment. Those are
mm,
environments that you shouldn't do, but those are environments that will affect um, certain things. So they will destroy mitochondria, they will dehydrate your body, they will destroy neurons in your brain. And when that happens, then there's just like a domino cascade that
mm, happens
happens to the person. Um, so, but I mean, everybody is on like a typical
mm,
24-hour
mm,
um, cycle.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a little shorter, sometimes it's a little longer.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I mean, everybody knows like the women's cycle. So that's a monthly circadian rhythm.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and the moon, obviously, and then
Mm.
there's the full moon. Everybody says like
Mm.
people start acting a little bit weirder, and when there's a full moon out and all that stuff, and
Uh,
it's like kind of like Michael
uh,
Jackson's Thriller or something like that.
uh. I
But
think,
yeah,
and it's beautiful that you say that because these are all sort of the kind of prejudices a little bit out there. And it's so difficult because, on the one hand, we have got charts and ways of planting by the moon or harvesting by the moon,
mm-hmm.
where we see that there is actually on plants and in your, let's say, food production, you can
Mm-hmm.
actually make changes that you can
Yeah,
visibly measure and visibly see. When we
yeah,
look, however, at humans, they are so much more complex. That makes it so much more difficult because we try to, in medicine, we try to look at that because we
yeah,
believe equally. Right? I'm just guilty as charged here. Oh, damn, it's full moon. I've got all the nutters coming out and doing stupid things and ending up in the emergency department.
uh-huh.
There are studies out there that show that absolutely zero correlation between full moon and any kind of trauma, with one strange exception when the main blood vessel in your body rips apart. Aortic dissection. It's a rare but often lethal thing of a vascular disease that often
Mm,
is due to a number of factors. But there is a correlation. One single thing in medicine. Anything else, psychiatric ward admissions, etc. No. So
mm.
it's intriguing.
Interesting.
It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to nail that down. But I think it's fair to say that some of us are more sensitive to it than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we give that in there, that there is a clientele out there, a sort of subsection of the population that is really far more sensitive to
Yep.
magnetic forces,
Mm-hmm.
then I think that is really good. So those people who say, what a bullshit, are probably right because the medical data states so and they themselves don't feel it. And there are other people out there who says, oh yeah, I know. So is that fair if we distinguish it like that? Because otherwise we have
Yeah.
got some people now. See, it doesn't happen on me, therefore that's a heap of bullshit what Jason is talking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, definitely because there's people that are more um, electro hypersensitive. So EHS is becoming more and more common,
Mhm,
especially as we're moving or we're adding more technology and moving up.
mhm,
So eventually 6G will be here.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, it's definitely a thing, and people can definitely feel it. I mean, I know when I go, we don't have Wi-Fi here. We use Ethernet. So when I go sleep at a hotel or something, I can definitely tell
mhm,
my sleep is
mhm,
off.
mhm.
Next day, I'm very tired. I'm yawning all the time and whatnot. But
Interesting. Yeah.
um, yeah, but they say everybody, it affects everybody. Um, and the people that are the most affected are kids and older adults because kids, their organs and their brains aren't fully developed. Older adults, they're starting
Mm,
to
mm,
go, they're aging, so
mm,
their organs and stuff are starting to
mm,
fail or get
mm,
closer to
mm,
failure.
mm.
Um, but
And
yeah,
again,
that's something.
hmm. And it's that's again from a doctor's point of view. Again, want to distinguish there because there's a whole spectrum of people who are going out there and saying that the waves that are surrounding us, they're just putting them all together in one thing, and that all makes us sick and gives us cancer and gives us, I don't know, a third ears growing. Again, that's bullshit. Don't mix everything together. There is
Right,
ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. If
correct.
you are constantly going out into space, your body will be damaged. We look
Yeah,
at the incidence of increased breast cancer in stewardesses, increased cancer rates in people who are flying constantly, sort of the
yeah,
airline pilots. So we know
yeah.
that
Flying.
ionizing radiation, etc. This is
Yeah,
different radiation from the electromagnetic smog that is out there. Okay,
mhm,
that is, if you guys are in your house and you look up your Wi-Fi, you will find maybe one and maybe your neighbor and the other neighbor. If you're living in
Hmm.
an apartment, suddenly you've got 20, 30 sources, okay? Or
Exactly.
in a hotel where you've got, I don't know, the never-ending
Yeah.
story.
Right.
Okay, so this is a different impact there. And I think we need to distinguish that. This is not woo-woo waba shit. This is not absolute craziness, what he's talking about. This is actually real stuff. We just
Right.
nowadays can't measure it. And some of us are not sensitive enough to actually see the impact and sense the impact because we don't live such a life. So therefore,
Exactly.
when we talk about healing, and that is what you're all about, I just want
Hmm.
to put that out there because inevitably there will be some people who will say, "Oh, he's going way off the track there. He's a doctor and he's
No.
talking about energy. Come on, bullshit." And I just want to put it out there, okay? This is
Okay.
this is probably something that we can not yet measure. We have some surrogate measures, isn't it? But surrogate
Hmm.
markers, and that's about it. But here we are,
Yeah.
coming full.
But
Sorry, I was ranting a little bit, but I wanted to set the scene
okay.
and protect both of us from, or show my duty of care that I actually put it into perspective. Only because
Hmm.
we can't measure at the moment something doesn't mean it's not there. And you have
Exactly.
got this experience, so that's where I love your honesty that you're going out there. Okay, I've got all this hardcore science nerdy things as a sport scientist slash trainer slash that, and now I've explored circadian rhythms. So
Exactly.
I see it as an add-on, and I see it as something that comes together to live for us to live our best lives.
Yes.
Cool. Oh,
Absolutely.
fantastic. So thank you for allowing me to wrap it on a bit there. That is
Yeah. Yeah.
important that we put it into
Well,
perspective. But now let's actually dive into the circadian rhythm beyond the what we have talked. I think one more thing I want to say, the circadian
okay.
rhythm is a weird one because we have got sort of 24 hours in the day. For many people, it's not 24 hours, it's 25, for example. Some people, when you put them into a cave, take
Yep.
away absolutely everything, it ends up 25, and indeed, when you do that for longer period of times, you end up sometimes with a 48-hour circadian rhythm, and your
Mm.
body gets used to that. That's sort of what intrinsically comes out if you take away all measurement from the outside. So
Hmm.
there are changes. So for those of you nerdy out there, say, 24 hours, that's bullshit. Accept it. Accept it. But since we live on the planet Earth, where there is a very strong influence with a very big bright globe there during the daytime and a lesser
Yep.
bright globe at the nighttime, let's work
Uh,
with that.
yes. Let's do that.
So if you wanted to say, well, okay, we need to live more according to our circadian rhythm. So
Mhm.
we've touched upon the importance of the nutrition and the late night snacks, how bad they are for your sleep.
Yep.
We touched a little bit. For those of you who are watching him, he is standing out there in the sun. Very muscular, very aerodynamic, head shaved, but he's standing half naked in the sun. And what is this all about? What is your sun dedication? Don't you know about skin cancer? How bad the sun is? How the radiation that it will eat you up?
Um, well, one thing I always talk about is building your solar callus up. So um so if like a person who's been spending their whole winter indoors and they did this, they would get severely burnt.
Yeah.
Um, so building your solar callus is basically building up your skin, building up your melanin, so you're able to be out in like midday sun when the sun is strongest and the
Mm,
UV is highest.
mm,
So you're not going to burn.
yeah.
The best way to do it, I always say
Mm,
sunrise is the most important thing
mm,
for a human. It's the most important thing for the circadian rhythm. It's the setter of the circadian rhythm.
mm,
It basically turns on the correct hormones, so your master circadian clock is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN for short. It's located in your retina, and it basically takes that light, it delivers the light directly to the brain, and then the brain
mm,
relays that all
mm,
over the body.
mm,
Um, so seeing the sunrise with naked eyes, as much naked skin as you can. So naked eyes is no sunglasses,
mm,
no contacts. If you have glasses, you pull them down on the bridge of your nose, you take them off so that light can actually get into your eye.
mm,
Um, and then because what's in morning sun or morning sunrise is there's a lot of red light and there's also blue light from the
Mm,
sun. And we have what is known as melanopsin inside of our eye, our skin,
mm,
our arterioles, um, our bone, all over the place. So melanopsin is basically our blue light antenna. So when we sense that, it's basically like the timekeeper of the day. So getting out throughout the
mm,
day keeps the the brain clock, keeps the eye clock in sync,
mm,
and the clock
mm,
doesn't go haywire or whatnot.
mm.
That's also on a side note. That's also why artificial blue light is so bad for us because there's no red light, there's no
Exactly.
UV, there's no other spectrums included
Exactly.
in there.
Yeah.
So sunrise, that red light is really going to help build that solar callus. Um, and then when UVA light comes out, so that's when the sun will get over the angle of 10. So UVA light it helps to turn off the hormones, certain hormones, and it also will start to build things that inside of you that most people know about. So melatonin, dopamine,
Mm,
nitric oxide, beta endorphins. So we're supposed to be the beta endorphins is basically like it's a natural opioid inside of
mm,
us. So we're supposed to be addicted to the sun, not addicted to uh, pills or Netflix or whatever. So
Oh, I like it. I like it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So and then so that sunrise and then UVA and then you've got UVB. That's where actually the vitamin D is made. So if you can get like the first portions of vitamin D, and then as the sun gets stronger, um, put clothes on, go in a shade, go inside, do something, and then later on in the day,
Mm,
when UVB is starting to get weaker, when it goes away, then UVA is there again,
mm,
and then sunset when there's no UV. So those early morning times and those later times
mm,
are going to help build your solar callus so
mm,
that you're able to be out and in that stronger sun
mm,
so you can build your vitamin D up because
mm,
there's an epidemic
mm,
pretty much all over the world of low vitamin D,
mm,
and vitamin D is important to get that up because it's a
mm.
controller of
Indeed.
your immune system.
Absolutely.
It can actually controls, I
Mm,
believe it's like 3%, around 3% of your actual DNA.
mm.
Um, so it's super
Yeah.
super important.
Yeah.
Um, but you want to be grounded as much as you can. So
Mm,
grounding, bare feet, grass, sand,
yeah.
um, water, any natural body of water, like the
Mm,
ocean is the best
yeah.
place that you can ground, unless you're getting that
Yeah.
um, free ions, electrons, all that stuff. Because the photoelectric effect is basically the photons from the sun hitting the electrons inside of our body. Um, and because like all electrons are the same, the only difference is the light that fills them. And electrons can only interact, or photons from the sun can only interact with electrons.
Mm,
And basically, electrons are like the free energy inside of us. And if we don't get enough, we're supposed to get 60% from nature and only 40% from our food. So if you spend all your days indoors, then you typically have to rely on food to supply you with that energy.
mm,
And I
mm,
mean, there's like a down the street, there's like a coffee shop like every single block. So you'll tell like energy will be the first thing you'll notice going. So you'll be looking for artificial means, coffee, monster, caffeine,
yeah.
quick carbohydrates,
Yeah.
processed carbohydrates to
Yeah.
get that
Indeed.
energy back and
Mm,
get it going for you.
indeed.
So yeah.
And Jason, I love it. You created a kind of abstract description here of what is happening in the body, and for let's say a neuroscientist or a doctor, some of the things that you said would be controversial, but at the same token, tell me, why do you feel so much better when you go on a nice holiday and you actually spend far more time outside, far more time disconnected from your laptop, etc., far more time in the open. You often eat very different things. So it's
Mhm.
often the combination of everything. But certainly,
Yeah.
I certainly would say that the practice of being outside is so underrated. And that
Yes.
indeed, with the fear, certainly here in Australia and New Zealand, we have got the highest rate of skin cancers.
Yep.
And especially, I mean, if you look at the farmers here, the farmers didn't slip, slap, slop, didn't put on sunscreen. And they come to us with the hugest squamous cell carcinomas that we sort of scrape out. You're talking about, bloody golf ball sized things that you cut off their heads. Hugely destructive, okay? So, on the one hand, we want that sun. On the other hand, it's a double-edged sword. So we need to take both things into consideration. But
Correct.
whilst we become so aware and afraid of the power of the sun that it destroys us, we've forgotten about the benefits of it. And there's data out there. If you could just add 2,000 units of vitamin D and a minimum exposure of 15 to 30 minutes of sunlight every day, I've forgotten the exact number worldwide, but it's a staggering number of cancers that would be reduced by those two steps, sun plus vitamin D supplementation. So you're right. You're absolutely on the right track there, and
Yeah.
I congratulate you and that we have focused on that.
Hmm.
And again, many medical societies are lagging behind, and many
Yes.
many their practical sides. For example, here in New Zealand, it's given that you're pretty much low in vitamin D. I can't even order a vitamin D test because they
Hmm.
say if you think that someone is low, just give it him. Okay, so it is they want to safeguard the money and say, come
Huh.
on, just give them vitamin D. Um, it's so great that you say that. So, and I love the way how you explain the different rays, uh, the different lights
Frequent.
within the sunlight.
Yep.
But it's not just the sunlight. There's actually, when you're out there, I'm looking at you at your background, there are leaves there. You are in Ohio, so the spring is coming, so the green is coming out. I'm
Yep.
unfortunately losing it here in New Zealand where we come into autumn.
Yeah.
But this green is so important because that's the infrared. So being outside, being in nature, you have got other rays that are equally as important for you. And we only just begin to grasp why forest bathing, for example, being
Mhm.
outside in nature is something that is traditional in Japan or in other
Yep.
Mediterranean countries, where that is so beneficial. Because
Yes.
again, so far we couldn't actually measure it, but here you are doing it. You're not just bathing in the sun, you're bathing in the forest. So you've got other rays coming in. So
Hmm.
us reconnecting with nature is such a important part of developing our circadian rhythms, isn't
Yes.
it? That's beautifully said. Give us another example, or there's so many examples there. For example, we talked about the nutrition. What are other circadian rhythms that you find really important to adhere to, or
Um,
detrimental if we work
oh,
against them?
you did mention vitamin D supplementation, so I did
Mhm.
want to hit on that.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, um, so vitamin D supplementation was one of like before I started all this, it was like one of my top three
Mhm.
things to recommend for people. And now it's actually on my top three things not to recommend to people.
Okay.
Um, because if they're not getting sun and they're taking a vitamin D supplement, so vitamin D, um, it has a it has a certain frequency and it has a, a like a chemical
Mm.
inside of it. Vitamin D is actually made from sulfated cholesterol. So we have sulfate in the body.
Mhm.
Sulfate converts and goes on to make sulfated cholesterol. Sulfated cholesterol goes on to make sulfated vitamin D. Um, so in like a pill or a liquid, it's not going to be sulfated, but you're getting um, the chemical dose, but you're not getting the actual frequency that's associated with the sun. So
Mm. Okay.
UVB light is supposed to make more melanin in the skin. So melanin is basically our natural sunscreen.
Mm.
It absorbs 99% of all UV radiation,
Mm.
and it basically hoards that energy, that radiation, and when the body needs it, it takes it and
Mm.
spreads it wherever it needs to go.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, that was just something I wanted
Yeah.
to
I
talk
think
about. But
I think that's really quite important that we distinguish those things. And I actually like it that you try to go down the natural route.
Mm.
As a doctor and as someone who's trying to really be broad in my appreciation of everything out there, you have to say that there are genetic issues. For example, in my
Yeah.
body, I have got deficient vitamin D receptors. So they only
Oh.
run on about 30%. So if I was to just go for my light therapy, so to speak, going out there
Mm.
and not supplement, I would hugely lagging behind. So for
Yeah.
me, I have always been using actually relatively high doses. And one day
Okay.
I pushed really hard and actually got a vitamin D level done on myself because I was worried, shit, am I going toxic? Am I using far too much vitamin D? And no, I'm not. So
Yeah.
it is, we need to
It's
see
very
that
hard.
not everyone is the same.
Yeah.
Secondly, there are people who living in eternal darkness, and with that I don't mean
Yes.
their
Yes.
emotional makeup, but they live in the UK, north of UK.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, man. From
Yeah.
September till March, it's dark,
Yeah.
it's drizzly. So
Yeah.
you don't get the sunlight. So for those kind
Yeah.
of people, we need to make exceptions there. But I like it
Yeah.
that you point out that there's probably far more happening when you go out there and to the nature and use the sun as
Mm.
therapy. And we see that with
Yeah.
light therapy. If you
And
say, hmm,
even on a cloudy day,
yeah,
you want to be out, because cloudy days will block UV, but like infrared light,
hmm,
it will still come through. So it's
hmm,
basically like a think of it as like a free red light sauna.
exactly. No.
Yeah.
And I was about to say, so if for those people who are not going out there or can't go out there
Yeah.
for reasons whatsoever, let's say,
Mhm.
for example, let's say someone who is in jail. They just can't go out for a nice walk,
Right.
but they might actually use light therapy. What do you think about light therapy as a replacement of the sun?
Um, well, I mean, it's very common here, like the red light panels and
Hmm,
all that stuff. Um, a lot of a lot of the companies they'll market that like this is your new morning routine and whatnot.
hmm,
You say red light. I use them every day, um, but it doesn't replace the sun,
hmm,
because you're only getting like certain frequencies,
hmm,
like the one I have. Like I have a mini one and I've got like a bigger one. The
hmm,
bigger one has like four red light frequencies and the smaller one has like two.
hmm,
But when you have the
hmm,
sun, you've got the red light that goes from 600 nanometers all the way up to 3100.
hmm,
So you're getting red light, you're getting infrared A, B, C, near
hmm,
infrared A, B, C.
hmm.
Um, Plus you're getting the visible light, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so it doesn't replace it, but I mean, I definitely
Hmm,
recommend it and use it,
hmm,
for like everything that they talk about.
hmm,
Collagen formation,
hmm,
pain relief, and
hmm.
whatnot. But
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't replace the sun. It's
And
pretty hard to do.
it's beautiful that you say that. I think there is so much more out there. We always go for the magic pill. We
Yeah,
want that magic thing. Just boil it down to
agree.
one thing that I do now. Okay, that's great. 680 nanometers or whatever the nanometers are. That's the light I need. Bing. I want that. Thank you. $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 later. And you're not even a fraction of the power of the sun or the fraction of the power of a whole nutrient vegetable compared with your resveratrol or whatever you have just picked upon as the newest fad for
Mm,
healthy being. So I love what you're
yep.
saying. Absolutely love it. Um, and just one thing, I'm not, I don't want to go into red light therapy now, but there is so much bullshit out there about that. There is so many non-validated statements out there. It cures
Mm,
everything from sweaty feet to cancer. Bullshit.
yeah.
But does it do something on the skin, for example? Yes, it will
Mm,
do. It can be benefits, collagen you were mentioning, etc. So cool stuff.
mm.
Okay. Other circadian rhythms. What else should I look out for?
Um, well, water
Mm,
is the one of the second leg of the stool I mentioned
mm,
earlier. Um, so water is extremely important. Like 99% of all of our molecules are water molecules. And basically, when sunlight hits us, hits our eyes, hits our skin, we form basically a battery. So it basically charge separates water. So it's known as the fourth phase of water, exclusion zone water, or AKA coherent domain of water. Gerald Pollack, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he wrote a book called The Fourth Phase of Water, which is a really good book. Um, but basically, it just goes on. So it charge separates protons and electrons. So electrons have a negative charge, protons have a positive charge, and so I always say life is all about electrons, protons, and photons. But if we
What
lose,
about all the neutrons? What about all the new stuff they found? You are discriminating against my cells. But I love it. I love it because the photons we often don't take for granted. So I'll let you get away with that one.
okay, um, yeah. So if we lose too many electrons, we gain too many protons because protons have a mass of that's 1,852 times that of an electron. Um, so if the protons build up, inflammation builds up, um, and from inflammation stems pretty much every disease. Um, so we want to basically keep that battery running nice and good. Because the first step when the sunlight hits us is the red light starts to build the exclusion zone, and then when UV comes out, it really expands that, and that's why we feel so good going to the beach or whatever. So
It's
uh,
and I think the hydration is so important because it's very, very clear. It's linked to so many factors. And there are beautiful studies out there where people, for example, went to a large insurance company and actually created a wellness plan. And that wellness plan included hydration, sleep, etc. And then they just had a look at what actually happened to those people who were on this plan compared with those who weren't. And it turns out that, for example, chronic headaches were reduced by 10 sick days a year.
yeah.
And when they then stopped the program, that was quite comprehensive as far as well-being is concerned. The two things that stuck was hydration and sleep. Once you actually
Hmm.
look after these two, you maintained those benefits on your
Yep.
health. And of
Hmm.
course, this is a crude marker, amount of sick days, but it shows the global burden of
Yeah.
dehydration if we were
Yeah.
to look at it from that angle. So I love it. I love it the way you
Yeah.
describe it. I don't subscribe to this theory, to this hypothesis of the fourth state of water. It is still too far out there. In
Mm.
5 years' time, I might go back and actually say, again, with hindsight, I rectify myself. Jason is right. Nowadays, it's too far out there for me to believe in. Having said that, these are all mechanisms how we try to explain why hydration is so good for us. And
Hmm.
let's just accept it. Hydration is so important. So
Yes,
we
it is.
both agree 100% on that. How much
Yes.
should a person drink in your mind?
Um, that's going to depend as well, because I mean, a lot of people are just they're hooked on their coffee, which is going to
Yeah.
their coffee or their caffeine, but so that's going to play a role as well, and also their non-native EMF environment. So that's like the big thing that dehydrates people because most
Mm,
people they're living indoors under Wi-Fi. They've got their phone in their pocket. They've got an Apple Watch on. They've got their AirPods in all day. Um,
mm,
so if that is the case, they're going to need a lot more water. But
mm,
typically, where I start, um, I start with like the 8 glasses a day, 64 ounces, because
mm.
most of the people that I've consulted with, they're not even close to
Exactly.
64
Yeah.
ounces.
Yeah.
So most of them are like 20 ounces, 30 ounces,
Mm,
and whatnot. But once you get it to 64 ounces, then
mm,
eventually we start building up to where you're getting at least half your body weight in ounces. Um, so,
Ideal
so
body weight or real body weight?
it would be like the um, what's the word? Your body, subtracting your body fat
Correct.
mass,
So the
like your
ideal
muscle
body weight.
mass.
Ideal body
Yeah,
weight. Yeah. Cool.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
that makes sense. Because it's so difficult because here we are, some of us are unfortunately much, much bigger. In
Yes.
fact, I mean, if this is an American audience, then we would say 50% of you plus will be in the dangerous zone. And
Hmm.
some of you are so dangerous, it's no longer funny. There is no color of red that shows the alarm signals that you are having. So if
Correct.
you can't go by their body weight size
Yeah.
of 500 pounds or something like that, that would
Uh-huh.
be a lot of water. Now, I
Yes.
think, and you hear so many things. Some people say, and there are New York Times articles. No, 8 cups of water is bullshit, etc. You don't need
Hmm.
this much.
Hmm.
So who is right? I think ultimately you have to start somewhere. And if we
Hmm.
accept that most of us are actually dehydrated because we don't pay attention, because you've lost the first. So let's go with 8 cups as a starting point. I like that. But watch your urine, watch your pee, and actually never have your pee more than sort of a pale yellow. Once you come to sort of yellow and darker yellow, you're
Yeah.
dehydrated, man.
Yeah.
Your kidneys are trying to suck every molecule of water back in, and you only
Hmm.
get the concentrated stuff. So look at your pee, guys, and that I think is a really good thing. Have a nice, clear thing. If your pee is like water, hang on, that's
Hmm.
maybe you're overdoing it. So maybe
Unclear.
simple things like that. So
Yeah.
hydration, magnetism, difficult to say. I think that is probably where we both might disagree a little bit. But at the same
Okay.
token, we've discussed it already. We've got we're planted by the moon, which is
Hmm.
magnetism ultimately. So, and yet I have got trouble myself thinking about it when it comes to me. How do you how do you incorporate magnetism for yourself?
Um, well, I mean, we are electromagnetic beings.
Hmm.
Um, Another book it's one of my top three books that I always recommend for anybody for all humans. It's The Body Electric by Robert O. Becker.
Hmm.
Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't done. No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, on
Um,
my to-do list now. I take that as a personal challenge now. I will
right.
read that and so that we're both singing from the same song sheet.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a great book. Basically, he goes over that we're electrical beings and we're magnetic beings. So anywhere in our body, there's an electric field. 90 degrees to that, there's a magnetic field, and then vice versa as well.
Mm,
Um, so typically, when the sun is out, there's more there's more electrical stimulation for us, and then when we're asleep, there's more magnetic stimulation for us,
mhm,
and that's basically to basically turn on the regeneration
mm,
pathways and
mm,
whatnot.
mm,
Um, Typically, I don't talk when I work with clients. I don't typically talk about magnetism and whatnot because it's very sciencey, very hard to get. But basically, what you just need to understand is basically we have things are supposed to spin inside of us.
mm,
So magnetism is basically helping to spin them.
mm,
We talked about cold thermogenesis earlier.
mm,
So a lot of like fitness influencers and stuff, they'll say like this is for muscle recovery, this is for joint pain, all that stuff. They never talk about the what I consider the most important aspects of cold thermogenesis, and that's it increases your magnetism. And when you increase your magnetism, you increase your ability to absorb UV light. Um, so yeah, so you basically turn yourself into a better
mm.
solar panel because we're supposed to our skin is basically supposed to be the ultimate solar panel, and
Right.
when we cool it, um, it's able to absorb more UV light. Um, so yeah, and so it was shown uh, Fritz Pop. So another book for you,
Mm,
uh, a book called by Roland Van Wyck. Uh, it's called Light Shaping Life. So in that book, he showed that all living things release extreme low frequency UV light.
mm,
So that's basically how we signal, how we communicate, how our cells communicate.
mm,
Because if we were talking, if we were doing this podcast and we were talking and you can hear every fourth word I said, it wouldn't be a very good podcast. So the UV light and also infrared light is how our cells communicate, our mitochondria communicate to basically keep everything in sync and working properly, so to speak.
I like it.
Yeah.
Again, these are sort of abstract ways of thinking that are hard to prove, and that unfortunately there are some people who are very outspoken, who go really way out there, and that makes it so hard to come to a common denominator, that we sit at the same
Mhm.
table and actually bring together. I think there is so much more out there that we can measure, yet that we experience in every day. For those of you who are thinking, well, Jason, come on. Have you ever sat on red lights in your car, and suddenly you feel that someone on the left, two cars behind, is looking at you? And you turn around, look at the dude, and he's going everywhere because how the hell did you know?
Yeah.
You know, this is one of the examples. There is more to us that we can pick up. Your gut sense, there's so much out there. You can walk in a room and your Homo sapiens in you has learned over thousands of years how to very quickly analyze a situation. And you very quickly see you might get warning signs with regards to one particular being in that crowd of 20. How?
Mhm.
Etc. So I love what you're saying.
Mhm.
I still don't know as a doctor what I shall make out of it. I think that's as fair as I can be. I accept there is some
Absolutely.
stuff out there that we have not yet explored and have not yet the
Mhm.
equipment and the ways to understand. That might be different in 10
Yep.
years, that might be different in 20 years' time. So therefore, let's be
Mhm.
open and let's use the best out of all modalities, bring them together. Jason, you're a man who is brought it all together, and that is so beautiful. You are truly living holistic.
Thank you.
And that is the important bit. And I think that is what we can model. And what you are doing, probably better than me. I before the show, we said you're sort of half naked there, running around out there. I do exactly the same. And on the beach. And it's so beautiful. And whilst other people are running around with wind
Yeah.
puffers and wind jackets, I do exactly the opposite. I have my shorts on and walk out there and enjoy it. And I make sure
Mhm.
that I'm barefoot and I'm walking through the sea, through the shallow waters.
But
So
yes.
the grounding, there is something to it. Again, something that is very hard for us to measure, and the impact is very hard to measure. How the hell
Yeah.
do you measure something like that when at the same token you have got about 4,600 chemicals in plastic that are bombarding you and that are messing with your hormones, etc. Circadian rhythms.
Yeah.
Um,
But
I'm I'm into men's sexual health, and as one of my strengths. Do you see any circadian rhythms playing out as far as we men are concerned?
um, yes. So sunlight, especially red light, is and when the sun is out, 42% of all sunlight is infrared A light. And then depending on the year where you are on the globe, anywhere between 52 to 55%, I believe,
Mm,
is
mm,
in the red spectrum.
mm.
So it's one of the best um, testosterone boosters out there. I don't know how it is over there, but over here, I mean, it's testosterone replacement therapy is like huge.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
but yeah, it's one of the best um, testosterone boosters out there.
Mm.
One thing I don't know, I always find it super interesting. So I'm wearing a kaniki, which is a tan through bathing suit.
Ah,
Um, yeah, so yeah, but one thing I do I people always tell me I'm going to get arrested and whatnot, but I always will because it acts like a there's like little tiny holes all throughout it.
yeah,
So it's not like full exposure, but I always, especially during sunrise, I always fully expose my balls to the sun.
excellent. Ah,
And if it's a cloudy day,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, I don't know exactly. If it's cloudy day, I don't know exactly where the sun is, but if
Yeah,
I look at my
yeah,
balls, they'll
yeah,
basically be like
yeah.
dancing, and
That's
that's how I know I'm in. I know I'm in the sun. So
I love it. I love it. And it's so hard because I actually thought there is something to that. And, put your balls into the sun and raise your testosterone.
yeah.
Regrettably, there were studies that have disproven that. And having said that, maybe there is more to that. So whilst just exposing your balls to the sun, and hoping that it will increase your testosterone, I don't think that the medical studies who looked into that
Mm,
support us in that. Having said that, there is, however, to be something to be said about you freeing yourself and you being more natural with regards to your body. So
mhm,
maybe it is not necessarily the exposure to UV light that is changing the way you see your sexuality when you expose yourself more, but also that you're far more natural with your body, that you're actually that being nude is not
mhm.
something taboo or is not something bad, but it's some a
Right.
very natural thing. Maybe
Yes.
that is the benefit that we subscribe to, even if a medical study says bullshit. I still
Yeah.
encourage you to not upset the neighbors. So the naked gardening day, that should maybe be once a year and under warning for the neighbors. They can close their jalousie, their shutters. But I think there's certainly being nude has something to do with it. So I love it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are
And
so many. Hmm?
I always say the birthing process shows us everything we need. So
Ah,
we
touche.
come out naked, no
Yeah,
shoes, no
yeah.
sunglasses, no sunscreen, no AirPods,
I love it.
no Apple
Yeah,
Watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there are many other circadian rhythms. Certainly, also when it comes to the detoxification of the liver, when it comes to, for example, consumption of alcohol.
Mhm.
We could go into details in so many other rhythms there
Yes.
in our body. But ultimately, I think the big message for today for me is to pay more attention to those things that predictably can strengthen you, and that
Mhm.
is the morning sunlight and
Mhm.
our exposure to nature and our hydration.
Yeah.
And maybe minimize those things in your life, reduce those things. Don't go full power, no more electronics. I go to a remote island. Yeah, I'm not sure that that works nowadays. But, what can you do, physically do, to maybe reduce the negative impacts that are disrupting your circadian rhythms? And I love it what you say, the red light filters, sorry, blue light filters on your phones in the
Mhm.
evening, or indeed disconnecting from your phones and from actually, some people say switching off the Wi-Fi routers overnight,
Yes.
or etc. Things like that. So minimizing exposures. And I think, what have you got to lose? And the
Mhm.
short answer is not much. So why not
Yeah.
actually try it and let's see what happens to you? You're not
Yeah.
losing anything, and
Yeah.
if at all, you've got I anyhow have got disruptions blocking at night, so my
Yeah.
sleep mode. But
Mhm.
what else are low-hanging fruit as far as you are concerned, in addition to what I've just
Um,
been saying?
yeah. Blue blocking
Mm.
glasses. Um,
Ah, yeah,
yeah, probably one of the easiest things to do. So
true.
artificial light, especially at night,
Yeah,
is the most damaging to us
yeah.
because it will destroy melatonin, dopamine, all that stuff, and melatonin needs complete darkness in order to
Mm,
come out and help us get into the deeper
mm,
stages of sleep, so we
mm,
can
yeah.
activate
Mm,
our two change programs, which is autophagy and apoptosis.
mm,
So basically, cellular recycling
mm,
and
yeah,
cellular taking out the trash.
yeah.
Um,
No, very true.
oh, yeah. So blue blocking glasses is one of the big ones. They come in different colors. So there's yellow, which is the day blocker, and then there's orange and red, which
Mm,
is like night blockers. So I always wear the red. I had myopia pretty bad, and I actually got LASIK surgery, which at the time I didn't know it, but was not the best idea to do. Um, so I can never be as healthy as possible. So it's
mm.
more about that. Um, so yeah, that's one of them. Um, Turning off the Wi-Fi at night. I mean, if you're using Wi-Fi during the day, that
Mm,
when you sleep, you need that break,
Mm.
because basically how I describe it is Earth's heartbeat, Earth's magnetic field is known as the Schumann resonance. So it basically beats at like 7.83 hertz per second.
Mm-hmm.
So think of that as like 8 cycles per second.
Mm-hmm.
Wi-Fi, on the other hand, is 2.4 gigahertz and also
Correct.
5 gigahertz. So
Correct.
that's 2.4 billion cycles per second.
Mm.
And then most people have both of them on, so that's
Mm.
7.4
Yeah.
billion cycles per second compared to 8 cycles
Mm.
per second.
Mm.
So turning that off, um, you want as your phone airplane mode,
Mm.
because I know a lot of people they'll sleep with their. I've heard stories of people sleeping with their phone under their pillow on silent mode. So, but yeah, you want to keep it on airplane mode. If you're somebody that needs to be like on call or something like that for emergencies, keep it as far away from you as possible, or get a landline or something like that.
Mm.
Um, Other things you can do, there's all kinds of filters. So I have a filter on my computer. I've got a filter on my phone. Um, they've got screens you can put on TVs. They've got
Mm.
screens you can put
Mm.
over like overhead lights. You can change um, your typical lights. So like if it's too much in the blue,
Mm.
you can change it to like an amber bulb or a red bulb
Mm.
or an orange bulb or something like
Mm.
that.
Mm.
There's all kinds of companies that are making like uh, different kinds of lights. So typically
Great.
I have like a red strip light that I read by.
Nice.
But yeah, yeah.
And I feel it. I mean, you're quite right. That impact is intriguing for me. In the evening, sometimes I really like to switch off with doing actually some social media. So I use it positively because I want to use maybe something that is bringing me up. Maybe I had a stressful day. So then
Mhm.
I do YouTube shorts, but my algorithms are so that I get very productive and very beautiful things coming to me that nourish my mind just as much as I
Okay.
want to nourish my body.
Uh-huh.
Yet I have programmed in a nighttime mode, and when that
Okay.
comes on, I get very disappointed. And it's basically black and white. It ultimately turns into black and white. No more blue light in there. And
Uh-huh.
watch the same positivity in color and watch the same positivity in black and white. You think,
Yeah.
bloody hell, that's weird. So you see how much difference there is by just
Yeah.
practicing
Not
or
as much
playing it
stimulation.
out. I
Right.
know. Isn't
Mm.
amazing. And it's just I feel like, hey, hang on, I'm missing something. And
Yeah.
it just shows me the power that our electronic devices have on my body, on my
Hmm.
subconscious, if I want to say it like that. So
Yeah.
very, very, very important. Many of us pay lip service to it. You are
Yeah.
living it. And I think
Mhm.
especially those of you out there who are more sensitive, who are living with diseases such as chronic fatigue, such
Mhm.
as the mitochondrial uh, downers, the people who are really, really struggling. I think that is where functional medicine comes in. That's where such a
Mhm.
holistic approach comes in, where we can all work together from different angles to actually strengthen our mitochondria, strengthen the way that we live. But we need to live both this active fight and flight and, hey, I'm alive, and then the rest of rejuvenation, where the right circadian rhythms can play out to heal.
Yes.
You're the master, and therefore, if people want to actually learn more about circadian rhythms, I know you've got quite a lot of freebies, you've got quite
Mhm.
a lot of work out there. Where can people find you?
Um, well, the best thing, I have a free what I call a mitochondriac guide. So it's a 17-step guidebook talking about a lot of things we've talked about today.
Mhm.
So that's improvementwarriorfitness.com/mitochondriac. And other than that, social media is probably the best place. I do a lot of posts and
Mhm.
educational posts and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, so on Instagram and Facebook, I am at sun.yun.jason, and Twitter, I am Yun Training, and also YouTube, I am Yun Training. So I put a lot of
Perfect.
videos up there. Yeah, so I
Great.
still do talk about fitness and nutrition, but it's more circadian based now.
Lovely, lovely. Brilliant. You're an amazing man. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for being so open about your own transformation, being such a role model out there, such a leader as far as bringing together science and more alternative kind of lifestyles slash techniques of living our best lives. And I think that is where the power lies. To only subscribe to one side will inevitably let you fall short and might even be detrimental. So to only go for very alternative things without actually using school medicine and vice versa has huge potential to harm you. I think I just put it this carefully. Let's bring the best of all worlds together, and let's bring all the experts together. And that's exactly what we are doing here. Let's
Absolutely.
actually talk about it, and let's therefore create a model of integrative healthcare, so to speak, where all
Yes.
those things work together. And those of you out there who think, well, where shall I start? They've talked about so much. Well, get yourself a trainer. Get yourself a wingman who does know what he's talking about. And that's what
Yes.
Jason is all about. Okay, don't
Absolutely.
reinvent the wheel, but actually go out there and have someone who is guiding you in those kind of things. Might not be a
Absolutely.
lifelong, but it might be a 3-month program or something like that. But it's a clear
Uh-huh.
investment into your life. And I think we need to do that more often. We need
For
to
sure.
go out there and surround ourselves with people who motivate us and hold us accountable for the way that we're doing. And that's exactly what you're doing. So, Jason, thank you very much for making this world a better place with the work that you're doing. You're an amazing man.
Thank you very much. I
Uh,
appreciate you having me on.
Oh, absolutely. And you guys out there, look after yourself and live with intention. Bye.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up.